All right, great. Thanks for attending today's meeting, everyone. So I have Kashish here, Vaishnavi, and Pawan. A few others may join us in the next 5 minutes or so. So let them sign up as and when they can. I will take about 2 or 3 minutes max to introduce myself, and then we'll open the floor for questions. So as you all know, my name is Karthik Parniappan, and I run August Academy. We've been in business since 2013. And we are based out of Chennai, India, but we work with candidates from all over India and all over the world as well. Most of the candidates that we work with are of Indian origin and are looking to get into some of the best MBA programs in the world, including the US, Canada, the European Union, ISB, and Asia as well. About myself, I'm an alumnus of IIT Madras and Stanford. And I think I've been in the same place where some of you are at this point. I work for a very large corporation. I made a lot of very good friends, but somehow I felt something was lacking in my work. And I thought that if I get into the management side of things, then I would have a little bit more control over business decision-making processes. So that's how I started my MBA journey. I prepared for the GMAT, I got a 770, and then I got into the Stanford Sloan program as well, which is their executive MBA program. Due to a certain set of circumstances, I couldn't take it up at that point, but I started August Academy the same month. So January of 2013 was when we started August Academy. We started out as a test prep center, so we were helping people prepare for the GRE and the GMAT. And towards the end of that year, we started helping our candidates with admissions. We got some very good results. And then the next couple of years, we slowly pivoted from the test prep center model to an admissions consulting model. And over the last 7 years or so, we've been fully focusing on admissions consulting, and almost 98% of the candidates we work with are looking at MBA programs. We've been very fortunate. We've had the opportunity to work with some very good candidates in the past, and our results reflect that as well. We've had people getting into top 10 programs in the US, including Harvard, Kellogg, MIT, Darden, Columbia, Berkeley, Haas. In fact, about 2 years ago, we had about 3 candidates getting into Haas in the same session, right? So that's not a very rare occurrence for us. We have multiple candidates getting into top 10 programs in a particular year, and I hope the trend continues this year as well. We've had people getting into Harvard 2 years in a row now. So that's also something that we are very happy about. Within Europe, we've had people get into all the top 5 places, including London, INSEAD, HEC, Oxford, and Cambridge. India, of course, we've had a lot of people getting into ISB, IIM A, BC, and NUS, NTU, HKUST. That sums up Asia, right? So we are in a new season now. We are looking at the 2023 intake, and we are about halfway through R1. I think we put in a good set of applications, and I'm optimistic and hopeful for our R1 results. Now we are looking at the rest of R1, and we are actually signing up candidates for R2 as well. So that's where we are at this particular point in time. About today's session, it's a Q&A session. I don't have any agenda. I introduced myself, and now the floor is all yours. Take it, introduce yourself, ask me your questions, and then we can take it forward from there. We are live streaming on YouTube. So hello to everybody who watches this on YouTube at a later point in time as well. Yeah. All right, take it from here. Anybody can go first. Yes.
Okay, I'll start. Hello, hi Karthik, hi everyone. My name is Pawan. So I've been working in corporate from last 6 years. Okay. So I thought of attending this sessions from last couple of weeks, but I could not attend. So I have a couple of questions in my mind for round 2 and round 3. So all I'm here to ask you and clarify all my doubts regarding my MBA journey.
Okay. Yeah. What are your questions, Pawan?
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. So my question is that, Karthik, so I thought of, so my current GMAT score is 680. That's something that I've given last month. So my goals are, get into Oxford side and Cambridge judge.
Okay.
So I thought of, getting a better GMAT score, and I gave GMAT just like a couple of days back, and I got a lesser than 680.
Okay.
So my question to you is that, so is it okay to apply to 680 for the round 2, or what do you suggest? Like, can I take a couple of months, and shall I take, another attempt on GMAT? And what is the target score that you can suggest? Like, okay, if you get this much of score, then maybe you'll get a higher chances of, getting into these two schools for round 3.
Okay.
That is my question.
Now, your industry exposure, Pawan, which industry do you work in?
So consulting. So basically, I started my journey as a business analyst. Now I'm into technology consulting and automation, all those things in Infosys.
Okay.
And just to give a little bit of background about my extracurriculars. So from last like 3 to 4 years, I am part of this community called Toastmasters, and I was also area director, district administrative manager. So I led a 150 to 100 Toastmasters, and I won ISC internal speech competition out of 500 participants. So that was about that. And last year we started this Hyderabad debating community, and we have like 100 active members there. So every alternate week we conduct debates online. So that is a non-profit organization per to say. So these are the two things that I can think. And I'm also started to thinking about being part of the impact consulting. I think you might have heard impact consulting there. So it is also consulting where they do consulting for non-profit organizations. So it is a volunteer work there. So these are the 3 things that I'm looking for around. So yeah.
Yeah, I used to be a Toastmaster as well. I think this was maybe about 2-3 years ago. Okay. And I think it got to the point where they wanted me to take a leadership responsibility in my club, and I couldn't do that. I think
you were the VP education back then.
Correct. I couldn't do that, and also run the company at the same time. So I think at that point I had to let go of it. But yeah, I mean, being an area director, all the extracurriculars that you were talking about, all of that seems very strong. The technology background may be a little bit of a bottleneck, I think. So given that, maybe if you can increase your GMAT to about 720 or so, you may have better chances. In addition to that, definitely don't pin your hopes on 1 or 2 schools. Have a portfolio about 5 to maybe up to 8 schools. I think that would be the best strategy. But yeah, I mean, if you're able to get your GMAT up to 720, and then if you're looking at 5 to 8 colleges, then I think you should have some good results.
So is it possible for me to apply in round 3 with all these things?
Round 3 meaning apply by Jan 15, whatever the deadlines are.
Yeah, correct.
See, I mean, different colleges have different number of rounds, so I'm not necessarily keeping track of all of that. But typically, if they have only 3 rounds, then you shouldn't be applying in the 3rd round. But if they have 5 rounds, then 3rd round is really the same as 2nd round in other colleges, which is fine, right? So I think the best way to look at it is if your deadline falls before Jan 15, that's still fine for the September 23 intake. If you're looking at a February or later deadline, then unless the college is ranked really low, then I wouldn't venture into it.
Yeah, sure, Karthik. Just last couple of questions. So one thing is regarding the IELTS. So mostly these UK colleges, they prefer IELTS 7.5, all those things, right? So when I gone through the Oxford and Cambridge, so those 2 application requirements, Oxford is saying 30 days or well before your whichever stage you are applying. If I am applying round 3, it is okay to take IELTS even in December or so. But Cambridge is asking for us to, September 30 is the deadline for the country for the year that you are applying to. So that was something that I was not understand properly. So is it like, do I need to IELTS this year or next year before September 30?
Okay. No, I'm not very familiar with this. I need to look into that as well.
Right, sure. Yeah.
Let's see. Let me open up a browser window. So this is Cambridge, is it?
Yes.
Okay. Cambridge MBA application requirements, right? I want to share my screen.
Oh, yeah, yes.
And, I think that's Cambridge, right?
Yes.
Just tell me what I should be looking at.
Maybe you go to apply section.
There's application deadlines, applying. Okay, I need to accept this. Okay, apply online. No, not this.
Oh no, the applied. Maybe you go to see application deadlines, and if you scroll down, minimum requirements, and here English language. Yeah,
there's an English language policy as well.
30th December or something like that.
If your nationality is from the following list, you don't need a TOEFL or IELTS. If you have completed formalized education equivalent to a UK bachelor's for a minimum of 3 years in an institute located in the following list. Okay. I don't think India is part of this, right?
Yeah, maybe if you go back to the screen,
a TOEFL IELTS is not normally required. However, you will be assessed for admission internally by the University's Language Center if your nationality is from the following list: India. You have completed degree level education. Okay, first of all, they're saying if you're from India, you don't need a TOEFL or IELTS.
Okay.
The internal assessment is fine. Then where is that September 30 thing?
Maybe if you go back to the screen browser. Yeah, okay. Here it is mentioned 2 years prior to 30 September, and just above the PDF link.
Yeah, that's okay, right? I mean, 2 years prior to 30th September on the year for which you're applying for entry. See, I mean, I have to say that's not very clear, but let's say 2023 September, and then anytime from 2021 September to 2023 September, they want that.
Okay, so that was the part I was not clear. Is it the 23 September?
Do you mind if I can add something on this?
Yes, please. So, yes, yeah.
What they have mentioned is you need to proficiency test in 2 years for September 30 on the year for which you're applying for entry. So let's say if I'm applying for September 2023, then my IELTS or my TOEFL score should not be older than September 2021.
Correct. Yeah.
That's what they're trying to say. So even if I gave it on 29 September 2023, I guess it should be fine with them. Although I need to submit it on the application date when I'm applying for it. But what they want to say is that my date of the examination, it should not be 2 years prior to the date of the start of the session.
Yeah. So that's probably the interpretation there, unless they are talking about September 22. It's best to clarify with them, but primarily it looks like you won't even need the TOEFL or IELTS. So that's the first step.
Sure, Karthik. So my last question is, so let's say, what is the, how much time it will take for the whole complete journey? Let's say if I enroll for the August Academy for my profile, application journey, all those things. So how much time it will take?
So we recommend about 3 to 3.5 months for about 5 colleges. Okay. And I will break that down towards the end of our call where I'll explain our application process. But ideally about 3 to 3.5 months for 5 colleges.
Okay, so specific to my scenario, so now that I thought of giving the GMAT again, right? So what do you suggest? Can I start my journey of applications parallelly while preparing?
Let's have a call and then we'll discuss the possibilities.
Okay. Yeah.
Typically, I would say if you're very determined on a certain set of colleges and you don't have the GMAT for those colleges, then it is better for you to finish your GMAT and then start.
Yeah.
But if you're flexible about your, shortlist, then it's okay. You can do both in parallel. And if your GMAT doesn't pan out the way you want it to be, if you're okay with us looking at a different set of colleges, then that's fine. You can start.
Yeah, sure, definitely. We'll get in touch with personally.
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Does someone want to go to next?
No, I can go next.
Okay. Hi, Kashish.
Hi, Karthik. Hello, everyone. I have a collective experience of around 2.5 years. I have been working in real estate since I began my career. I gave my GMAT on September 5th and I got a score of 700. I have pursued MSc in Financial Investment from the University of Exeter, UK. And
can you repeat that? You pursued?
I have pursued finance and investment, master's in finance and investment.
Okay.
From University of Exeter, UK, and I have completed my graduation in economics from Delhi University.
Your graduation in?
Economics.
Econometrics. Okay.
Yeah. Am I not properly audible?
Yeah, I mean, you can just, yeah.
Okay, I'll just hold it. I think that would be better.
Yeah.
So my question, like my first question is that given I don't have like the average years of experience that are usually required in a good MBA school, does that make me, does that eliminate me from securing a position in one of the top B schools? And when I say a top B school, I don't mean like Harvard, Stanford, or Wharton. I'm talking about the top 10 B schools that are there.
Okay. See, I mean, I think 2.5 years is fine. Obviously, it'll be better if you had about 4.5 years at this point, because then you would be much closer to the class average. 3.5 years, that's slightly better than where you are, slightly weaker than 4.5. But we've had people at your experience level get into some top rank colleges as well. Okay, so it's not uncommon for that to happen. You do need a stronger GMAT to target a top 10, though. That is something that you'll have to keep in mind. So typically for a top 10 US program, we recommend that Indian candidates have about 750 or higher than that.
Okay, perfect. My second question is post MBA goals. So there are countries that are very much accepting to international students. They provide visas and PR very easily, but there are countries who have very stringent policy when it comes to providing employment, or if they're looking for entrepreneurship, then giving them that benefit. So how do we pick up a college? Like, how do we select a B school depending on these post MBA goals? Like, should we prefer a country that has very easy access to PR, let's say a citizenship, or a country that is offering me a good B school, but has very I would say that a very difficult set of rules when it comes to getting the visa or like securing a job in the country in which I'm pursuing the MBA.
Yeah. See, I mean, that is a purely personal decision. Okay, there's no right or wrong thing. And for different groups of people, they may want to do different things, right? I've worked with some people for whom it was important to immigrate abroad to a Western country so that they can access a better quality of life, in terms of lifestyle, in terms of environment, in terms of buying a house, in terms of buying a nice car, whatnot. No, just that. So if that is like your higher priority, then definitely try to get into a country which makes immigration easier for you, right? And then there are some people who don't really care about that as much as the brand of the institution where they study it. Okay. And not just the brand, but also like what's the highest level of career path that they can pursue, right? Let's say you want to get into like a top tier consulting firm, or let's say you want to work in a very strong economy, or you want to work in a world's leading investment bank or something along those lines, right? In such a scenario, you may want to apply to a US program, even though the US program does not offer very favorable immigration scenarios for you, right? So you need to evaluate which one of these two is better for you, is more preferable for you, and then make your decision.
Perfect. It's my last question is that it's regarding employment only, actually.
Okay.
But all the B schools, they give their employment report and they present the companies that are hiring from them and each and everything. But the employment, let's say the employment application process is very different from college to college. Now, some of them, they have companies coming to the colleges to interview candidates, just like what happens in India. But in certain B schools, you have to apply on themselves and manage your application by your own. Like something I experienced when I was pursuing my master's in UK. That becomes a bit of a, I don't want to say difficult, but yeah, a bit of a hectic process, because there's so many applications to manage, and though you have support from the recruitment cell, you don't have anyone to manage your application. In a scenario like that, does these choices affect our B school application, or we can just look past them, because when you're in a good B school, you don't have to consider them? I just have a little confusion on this.
No, you have to take ownership of your recruitment process, even if you go to Harvard.
Okay.
Okay. So every college in the West has both these scenarios happening. So it's not like some colleges have companies coming to their campus and some colleges don't have companies coming to their campus. So every college has certain companies coming to their campus. We have the equivalent of India's mass recruiters. In India, every college you have your TCS, Wipro, Infosys coming and just like recruiting hundreds of people and leaving shows, right? So like similarly in the US or in the UK, you may have companies like McKinsey, Boston, Bain, Goldman, JP Morgan, Amazon, Microsoft, Google coming to campus. And this is probably the scenario in the top 20 to 30 colleges, not outside of the top 20 or 30, but definitely within the top 20 or 30. Okay. And outside of these companies, all the other companies, there is no guarantee that they're going to hire multiple candidates from the same college, right? So you will have to reach out using university contacts or your own personal network, and you have to, send them your resume, follow up with the recruiter, and then manage your recruitment process. So you have to do this across the board. I think you have to get better at it. It's not convenient, but it's one way to operate, and that's how the West operates, and you have to get used to it. It's probably the best way.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Vaishnavi, do you have any questions?
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. So I'll start with my background first.
Okay.
My name is Vaishnavi. I was born and brought up in Jamshedpur. I did my undergraduation from NIT Jamshedpur, and post that I started working with Terrace Associates.
Okay.
I have a little over 4 years of work experience. And I'm currently still with working with that firm only. I took the GMAT twice, but my highest score has been 680, and I'm planning to go ahead with that score. I am specifically looking for schools. So my post MBA goal is consulting, and so I am looking for schools which can be like my target schools are ESA. Because like and personally also in this forum I wanted to clarify some questions regarding that school only. So I just wanted to know if it's okay if I ask you a question about an essay and how to approach it, or should I discuss it one-on-one with you?
I mean, let me know what the question is, and I'll let you know if I can offer assistance. I mean, so let's look at it like this. At some level, I don't want to offer something that is something that we get into as part of the consulting process, but a high-level question I can answer. So ask me what the question
is. On a
is.
high level, okay, yeah, sure. So the question is very open-ended. So when it's a question like that asks you that, okay, if you would like to highlight about yourself or your journey, which may not have been captured in your application, then what would you like mention? So if it's in general a very open-ended question like that, then what framework should you have in mind to go about it or to ace it?
Okay.
I mean, it's fine if you don't want to answer. I get it.
No, it's okay. That's a broad enough question. Just think about what is being captured by the other aspects of the application, right? So you're going to be sending them a resume, which means they know where you've studied, what your GPA is, where you worked, how many years of work experience you have, what kind of projects you worked on, industry sector, functional experience, right? So they left, and if you've led a team, they know about that. So this is all stuff that they know. From the academic point of view, they have your transcripts, so they know what your GPA is, they know what courses you've done well at, what courses you've not done well at. So that's also some insight that they have. They have your GMATs or GREs. So all of that's there. So what is it that they don't have, right? They don't know anything about you as a person. They don't know what your dreams are. They don't know what you aspire to be. I mean, professional goals, yes, they know that because they're asking for it. But other than that, I mean, you may want to visit like 30 countries by the time you hit 30. They know about that. That's something it's a item on your bucket list, and that's something that you haven't shared with them. And that actually says a little bit about your personality too. It shows that you're curious. It shows that you are interested in exploring the world. It shows that you're craving adventure to a certain extent, maybe. If you're looking at traveling solo, then that adds a dimension to your personality as well, right?
Yeah.
They don't know anything about your values. They don't know anything about your motivations. right? Let's say you are a fan of Roger Federer. A lot of people tell me they're a fan of Roger Federer. So, it's not very uncommon for you to be a fan of Roger Federer. So why are you a fan of Roger Federer? What is it about him besides his smile that, you find appealing? He's got a great work ethic. He's supposed to be like, you know, he interacts well with people. I think that's the basic idea, right? Or maybe not Roger Federer, maybe like MS Dhoni or maybe I don't know, Ranbir Kapoor, whatever, Narendra Modi. Some I don't know, you can share your idols and why you idolize them, right? Because that says something about your personality. So Roger Federer work ethic, me work ethic. I aspire to have the same work ethic, right?
Got it.
You may want to share instances from your family if you've had a very unique circumstance growing up. If you belong to the typical Indian middle class family, then your story is the same as the story of thousands of other possible applicants. But in case there is something different about the way you grew up, about your circumstances, that's something that you can share. So there is no limit or scope attributable to this essay.
Yes.
It's just that you've shared all the objective metrics with regards to your resume, your goals essays, your letters of recommendation, your transcripts. So what remains is who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And, your environment associated with you. So anything related to that is possible.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Also had another question about the 101 session but I think that you'll cover it. So I'll just wait for that. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So Yash, do you have any questions?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
I'm Suyash. I'm currently working in the government organization that is Department of Atomic Energy. And
Atomic Energy. Okay.
Yeah. So my aim is to get into the US Business School top 20 or top 30. Okay. So currently my GMAT score is 660, but I am going to attempt it once more.
Okay.
Yeah. So my first question is that currently my experience is around 7.5 years. Okay. So by the time around August 2023, it will be around more than 8 years. So how I wanted to ask means how this business schools in the US will treat the person with the 8 to 9 years of experience. So
I mean, you'll definitely be on the older side, but 8 years is still fine. I mean, you're within limits. So I think you don't have much to worry about at this point. Maybe once you start hitting the 9-year and 10-year mark, you may become a better suited candidate for an executive MBA or something. As the years go by, you'll be better suited for the exec MBA. But at this point, you're just at the periphery. It's fine.
Okay. And the second question I had is was about regarding the one of the business school. If you can directly tell me whether how's that school in general. So that school is the Carlson Business School of Management in USA. So what do you think regarding that school? Although it is not in top 30 or top 25. So what do you think about that school?
I think it's a top 40 program, right?
Yeah.
It's a good program. I think I had one person take it up about 3 years ago. I've not kept in touch with this candidate, but this candidate took it up even though he got into about top 20, top 25 programs because I think he had family in Minnesota, right?
Okay.
I mean, I think once you're outside of the top 25, the rankings don't really make a whole lot of sense. Anything from 26 to 50 may be about more or less the same.
Okay.
Because you're heading into this concept of regional programs. These are best in their regions, right? So just to give you an example that is related to India, let's say you clear the JEE and you're getting into a top 5 IIT, right? Then it makes sense for you to travel. Let's say you're from Calcutta and then you want to come to IIT Madras. That's something that you're able to do. Let's say you're from Madras and you want to go to IIT Kanpur. That's something you're willing to do, right? But let's say you're not getting into one of those top 5 IIT programs. Then you may just look for whatever is the best thing in your state, right?
Okay.
So if you're from West Bengal, you may be happy with Jadavpur. right?
Yeah.
If you're from Maharashtra, and specifically if you're from Pune, you may want to go to, like, I don't know, College of Engineering Pune, but if you're from Bombay, you'll go to VJTI, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Likewise, if you're from Bangalore, you'll go somewhere. If you're from Mysore, you'll go somewhere else. If you're from Madras, you'll go somewhere. If you're from Trichy, you'll go somewhere else. Hyderabad. So I think what I'm trying to say here is, unless you're going to a program of national repute, it may not matter much for you that Jadavpur is ranked higher than VJTI. If you're from Bombay, you're still going to go to VJTI, not Jadavpur, right?
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
So in the Minnesota region, the University of Minnesota is definitely one of the stronger brands in that region. And that's how you should be looking at that.
Okay. So yeah. So that's it from my side. These two questions.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Does anybody have any other questions?
Yes, Karthik, I have a question regarding this GMAT versus GRE thing. So in my case only, so 720 is something that you have suggested for the targeted B school. Like, so what about the GRE score for the, maybe exclusive for,
around 329 or so.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So 329 and 720 are roughly equivalent. So whatever college requires a 720, you may need a 328, 329.
So do the colleges, show some any discrepancy for the GMAT and GRE or something like that, or they treat everyone equally?
They treat everybody.
Okay. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a confusion between two programs, that is MIM and MBA.
Okay.
So how different is MIM from MBA in terms of curriculum, the course material, the projects, and the experience that you have overall?
So the MIM is an intermediate program. The MBA is a slightly more advanced program. It all depends on which age group you fall under. Typically, the MIM is geared towards people who have less than 2 years of post-degree work experience, which I think you have a little bit more than that. So I think you should just wait for a year and do an MBA, because that's the stronger degree anyway. Yeah. All right. I'll just take some time to explain how we work and how we can interact further, and then we can come back for questions. So we have broadly 3 tiers of packages, but in theory, that's in theory, but in practice, what happens is people either sign up for a comprehensive tier of packages or an ultra tier of packages. Okay, so there's only one difference. They're mostly the same, but there's only one difference. In the comprehensive package, for every college, we have one hour brainstorming call, and in the ultra, we don't have that limit. So in theory, it's infinite, but in practice, we say that in a week, we can only have one call. So if you have one call this week, then the next call is next week. So that's the difference between the comprehensive and the ultra, but everything else is the same. The number of reviews, we don't limit the number of reviews. So how do we work, right? Once you get started with us, the first step is for me to understand your background. So I will share some questions with you, and then I will request you to write down some answers. And by reading those answers, I get to understand you a little bit better. So that's the first step. And then I'm able to put this in the context of objective metrics like the GMAT, the GPA, which college, how many years of work experience, which industry, which sector, what kind of function. So you said, Pawan, that you're from Infosys, but you're not a software engineer, you're an analyst. Right? So while it's a tech industry, it could be a different function, right? And then I could have somebody from a Bank of America who's a software engineer as well. So while it's the financial services industry, it's a software engineering function, right? So the industry and the function, both of these matter. And then what happens is I will be able to propose a shortlist based on that. Now, for a lot of Indian candidates, the test score is actually a strong determinant of the shortlist. Okay, why is that the case? Because we have a lot of people applying and a lot of very, very talented candidates. Okay, so our talent pool is abundant, and it gets to the point where it is difficult to separate one profile from another in terms of who is better. So just to call a tiebreaker, you need to look at the score, right? So that is why the score is important for Indian candidates. Now, after we are done with the shortlist, then we move on to the application stage. And I help people with the essays, the letters of recommendation, and the resume. So I work as a coach. So I will be guiding you. I will be telling you what to write about, but you will be doing the writing. So that's how we'll operate. Now we'll meet for the 1 hour brainstorming call. And then in that 1 hour brainstorming call, we'll discuss all the essays. Like Vaishnavi brought up this concept of, is there anything else you would like to share? I think that was roughly the wording. I don't think it was precisely the wording, but roughly in principle. A lot of colleges have that essay. In fact, Harvard also has that essay. Kellogg has some essay called What Are Your Value Systems and all that. ISB has a very similar essay this year. What kind of values do you subscribe to, right? So it's not just IESA, but a lot of top 20 colleges have a similarly worded essay or a slightly differently worded essay, which actually means the same thing. I remember Rice. I was brainstorming with somebody for Rice today, and Rice had this question, which goes along the lines of, we know a lot about you. Share a picture that matters to you and tell us why that picture matters to you. So again, it's very similar. It's like you can talk about anything else in your life, right? So typically what happens is we would open with a question, and then we will have a discussion around what are the themes in your life that are interesting to discuss and important to discuss. Interesting and important can be two different things, right? Interesting can be, hey, you're a rock star. Important can be, hey, I'm a first generation college graduate. The latter is not interesting. The former is not important unless you actually are like published on Apple iTunes and whatnot, right? So we'll look at some combination of the two, and then we'll figure out what are the most important themes, and then we'll come up with an outline, a bullet point structure for each essay, right? So we'll have a structure for goals, we'll have a structure for all these miscellaneous essays, we'll have a structure for optional essays. So by the end of 1 hour, we'll actually know exactly what to write about for each essay. So that's where we'll close. And then you'll write an essay and you'll share it with me. My turnaround time is 2 to 3 days. I will get back to you with my comments on how you can improve your draft. Send me your new draft, and then I'll send you more comments. We'll keep exchanging this till we get it right. So we don't limit the number of reviews at all. And we'll follow a similar process for the resume and the letters of recommendation as well, right? And after we are done, we move on to the second school, third school, so on and so forth, whatever number of schools you've signed up with us for. In terms of interview prep, what happens is in our 5-school comprehensive package, we have 2 mock interviews. It's included by default. In our 3-school package, it's not there by default. We charge separately for it. And the Ultra, it's there by default. Okay, so that's how that works. And in addition to that, we did a few Zoom workshops a couple of years ago. And that's about 8 to 10 hours of content. There's an overview of the application process. There's the resume workshop. There's about 6 hours of essay writing workshops. There's 2 interview workshops. So all those recordings are available for you. And you have to understand that these are questions from people very similar to yourself, just that they applied 2 years ago. So a lot of these questions will still be relevant to you. So you'll get my answers to that. And of course, the resume workshop and the essay writing workshops are held in lecture style, meaning we have a presentation and then we take you through it step by step. And one of the interview workshops is also lecture style. So all of this is part of what the package is about. How do we take this forward from here? Obviously we've met today, and if you see yourself working with us and if you're interested in learning more, then we can set up a one-to-one call. We have a charge of $2K for the one-to-one call. So you can send me an email. I can send you like how to transfer the charges and whatnot. And then we'll set up a half-an-hour appointment. Appointments will be between 12 and 6, roughly, maybe 11 and 6. And then we'll have a discussion. And then if you think that there's a match, then we can start working together. In terms of pricing, I'll let you know. For the 5-school package, we charge 5-school comprehensive package, which includes interview prep and shortlisting. We charge 250,000 plus GST. That's 295. And for the 3-school comprehensive package, which includes shortlisting but not interviews, we charge 195 plus GST. That's for 230. And the 5-school ultra, which is our most expensive package, we charge 340,000 plus GST. That comes to just a little over 4 lakhs. Okay, so these are the various packages that we operate. We are happy to do more than 5 schools as well. We'll have a per school charge on that. Not necessarily campaigning to do more schools than that for you. I mean, you determine how many schools you want help with, but I'm just telling you guys that the option is available, right? I can send you a spreadsheet. You don't have to know these numbers. You can just send me an email and I'll be happy to send you a spreadsheet. So that's there. The thing is the 2K charge, which we charge for the one-to-one call, when you sign up for one of our packages, we'll subtract that as well. So Any questions on this? Or any other questions before we close?
I have one question actually. Before we shortlist the colleges to which we'll apply, we need to have a GMAT score, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if someone like me who is taking the GMAT again, in that case, how we will?
So what we will do is we will shortlist based on your current GMAT. I'm happy to provide you with the shortlist based on your estimated GMAT as well. And then for the initial set of colleges, we can work on colleges that are overlapping between your current GMAT and your estimated GMAT. And then, if you are able to improve your score, then obviously we'll be able to do the other college. So if we've completed 1 or 2 colleges, then we would still consider that to be complete. But for the other 3 or 4 colleges, which we are yet to complete, we can work off the new shortlist instead of the old shortlist.
Okay. And most of these most of the people, those who are applying for the US MBA from India, they preferably need to complete their application in the round 2 only, right? So if they go for round 3, so all these things, all these college application will be carried out in the round 2 only, right?
So again, like I mentioned earlier, it's not about round 2 or round 3. It's about finishing off by the Jan 15 deadline.
Okay.
Because when they have 5 rounds, you can apply in round 3 as well. But if they only have 3 rounds, then you should apply by round 2. So let's not do the number there because every college is different. But definitely apply by the 15th Jan deadline.
Okay.
That's midway, roughly. All right. Any other questions? All right. So we'll come to a close for this session. And if you're interested in carrying our conversation forward, please send me an email. If you have any other doubts, also please send me an email. I'm happy to share our pricing sheet with you. For the benefit of anyone who's watching this on YouTube, at some point we will be extracting the main questions from our discussion today, and we'll be putting them as chapter headings in our YouTube video. So you can just click on the timestamp and then you'll be taken to the relevant portion of the discussion. So maybe the entire 40-45 minute discussion is not relevant to you. Maybe only a 5 to 10 minute portion in the middle is relevant to you. So just click on that and then you'll be taken there to that portion. A personal request here is we are a small business and we are using YouTube to reach out to a lot of people. So if you're able to like, share, and subscribe, then what's going to happen is the algorithm will pick it up and then show it to other people with similar interests. And that way it helps our marketing go a little bit more distance. All right. Great having everyone today. Please write to me and then let's continue the conversation. Bye.
Thank you so much, Karthik.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.